Okay, today's class on fractions, we are looking at going from improper fractions to mixed fractions, as well as going from mixed fractions back to improper fractions. So before we start, what are improper fractions and what are mixed fractions? So when we have an improper fraction, the numerator is greater than the denominator. So if we look at these examples, we have 5 over 3, 9 over 5, 7 over 2, 23 over 8. Those are improper because the numerator is greater than the denominator. A mixed fraction, it's called mixed because it's a combination of a whole number and a fraction. So if we look at these examples, we have 3.5, 5 and 6 sevenths, 9 and 5 sixteenths, 15 and 7 ninths. We have a whole number, right? So 15 here is the whole number, the 9, the 5, the 3, and then you also have a fraction alongside. All right, so those are called mixed fractions. So what we're going to look at today is being able to take the improper fraction and write it as a mixed fraction and vice versa. All right, so let's take a look at our first example. So we have 7 over 5. Well, that's an improper fraction. So we have to be able to put it into mixed fraction form. All right, so keep in mind that anytime you have a fraction, it is technically division. Fractions are division. So 7 over 5, it technically means 7 is being divided by 5, like this. All right, so to get the whole number, how many times does 5 go into 7? One time, okay, because 5 times 2 is 10. So just one time. So we're going to write down 1 as our whole number, and we keep 5 as our denominator, just like this. And we have to figure out what is the numerator going to be here. All right, so 1 times 5 is 5. We need 2 more to get to 7. So our answer is 1 and 2/5. All right, so our answer is 1 and 2/5, just written like that. All right, let's try the next one. So we have 14 over 3. That basically means, well, 14 is being divided by 3. So how many times does 3 go into 14 without going over? So 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. So we have to use 4. 4, therefore, is going to be our whole number, just like that. We are going to use 3, keep the 3 as our numerator. So how many more do we need to get to 14? Well, 4 times 3 is 12, so we need 2 more to get to 14. So 4 times 3 is the 12, plus 2 gives us 14 over 3. So 4 and 2/3 is our answer. Okay, so the first example here, we have 11 over 3, and we need to write it as a reduced mixed fraction. So if we look at 11 over 3, it's already in reduced form. So we're going to take our 11, it's being divided by 3. How many times does 3 go into 11 without going over? 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12, so 4 would go over. So we're going to use 3 as our whole number. Then we're going to keep our denominator the same. So our denominator stays as 3. So we have here, we can multiply 3 times 3 is 9. How many more do we need to get to 11? We would need 2 more. So our answer is 3 and 2/3. Okay, our next question is 14 over 4. So I'll give you guys some time to try that one. All right, so looking at our second one, we have 14 over 4. So the first thing you can notice here is that it isn't reduced yet, right? You can reduce it further, but if you didn't, that's okay. We can reduce after. So we have 14 being divided by 4. How many times can 4 go into 14 without going over? That would be 3. So we would end up with 3, and then we have our 4 as the denominator. So 3 times 4 gives me 12. We need 2 more to get to 14. All right, but if you look here, 2/4, it's not reduced, so we would reduce that. Okay, so 3 and 2/4 can get reduced to 1 over 2. All right, the other method you could do is you could have reduced first. So if you took the 14 over 4, we can reduce that first by dividing by 2, which would give me 7 over 2, right? And now we can put this into mixed fraction. So 7 divided by 2, how many times does 2 go into 7 without going over? That would be 3. And denominator we would keep as 2. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more to get me to the 7. All right, either way, we end up with the same answer. Okay, so again, you can reduce before as here, or we reduced after as we did here. Okay, any questions on that one? All right, so our next question here, we have 10 over 6. All right, so let's do it the first method, which is just figuring out the mixed fraction and then reducing afterwards. So 10 over 6, which is the same thing as 10 being divided by 6. How many times does 6 go into 10 without going over? It would just be once. So that is our whole number. Our whole number is 1. And then we keep the denominator the same, which is 6. All right, so we have 1 times 6, which is 6. We need to get to 10, so we need 4 more to get us to 10. So we have 1 and 4/6, and now you'll notice that 4/6 can be reduced. Both numerator and denominator can be divided by 2. So divide the top and bottom by 2. So we get 1 and 2/3. Okay, and if you reduced first, so I'll just go or. So if you reduced first, 10 over 6 can be reduced by dividing the top and bottom by 2. That would give me 5 over 3. So how many times can 3 go into 5? That would be 1 time. Keep the denominator the same, which is 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. We need 2 more to get to 5. So the answer is still 1 and 2/3. So next is converting a mixed fraction to an improper fraction. So like I showed you previously, this part will make more sense. You take your whole number and you multiply it by the denominator. So we're going to take 8 multiplied by 2, and then we add the 3. All right, so you multiply the denominator by the whole number, and then you add the numerator. That will give you your numerator. So 8 times 2 is 16, plus 3 is 19. All right, and then we keep this denominator the same, so our answer is 19 over 8. All right, that's it. That's how you go from a mixed to an improper. Okay, here's another example. So again, we're going to multiply the denominator and the whole number. So we're going to multiply 8 times 5. And then we're going to add the numerator, so plus 7. All right, so 8 times 5 is 40, plus 7 is 47. So there's our numerator. And then we keep the same denominator. So 47 over 8. All right, so our first example, we have 5 and 1/7. So we are going to take 5 multiplied by the 7 and add 1. And then the denominator stays the same. So 5 times 7 is 35, plus 1 is 36. So we get 36 over 7. Our next one, 7 and 2/3. So again, we're going to multiply the whole number and the denominator. So 3 times 7, and then we're going to add the 2. So 21 plus 2, that's 23. And we keep the denominator the same as 3. So 23 over 3. And lastly, 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 3, and then plus the 0. So we end up with 21 over 3. What you'll also notice here is, remember, like I said, fractions are the same as division. So 21 over 3, that's the same thing as 21 divided by 3. And 21 divided by 3 is 7. All right, so if you left it as 21 over 3, or if you reduced you would get 7 or 7 over 1. All right, any questions